Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back, and Alexa's actually back. She's actually here. It's not just me saying it. She's actually sitting there across from me, sort of, and she's ready to speak about Survivor Season 43. I'm sure she did all of her homework and all of her research the way she was supposed to on her flight back from Europe and then back from Los Angeles and all the fun stuff. I'm sure she listened to every single word of my hour-long diatribe, right? There's no way you didn't listen to that, right?
There's no way I didn't do that, but you know what I did do? I actually read some articles and I've prepared a prep bit. I can't say it's going to be good, but I think I I've done that. Have you done that, Phil?
No, of course not. But you're over
That's
here
what
giving money to the enemy while we're sitting here, and I'm trying to put my heart and soul into this. Alexa, where were you for me? Reading EW and Parade and all that stuff. What's going on here?
I had to do some research. I had to read about this cast, and I'm pretty excited. I so unfortunately I did not listen to your cast assessment. If I find myself with an hour, I certainly will. But give me your 30-second elevator pitch.
Um, I dig it. I don't understand some of it, but we'll get there. And I think Justine is going to win. That's who I had as my winner pick, and that's who I will be talking about as my first thing here. But I feel like she's like a Kim 2.0, and I feel like this has the potential to be a one world cast, and I don't mean that in a negative, because obviously the One World cast is so negatively looked at, but One World had some good personalities. They just had no idea what to do with them. And I feel like that is what this cast could be, probably a little bit smarter on the Survivor front. However, like I could see Justine pulling out a win here just because she seems like she's the total package. But yeah, that's
Wait,
really what I got there.
you think the cute girl is going to win?
Is Justine the cute girl on this season, though? Let's be real.
I think there's a few, but I feel like Phil, that's really out of your demographic. You never.
Well, you know what the thing is though. Here's so I think last season for 42, I think I took a guy, didn't I? I don't remember. I don't remember what happened in 41 or 42. My thing with this season is I actually really wanted to go with Owen, but Owen is way too excited about everything. And it's fine to be excited, but sometimes you can be too excited. And I think Owen is too excited. Owen's kind of what I'm thinking. But I did say on my cast assessment, which Alexa did not listen to, which, of course, hey, I get it. She didn't have any time to listen to me. But I did say on that I think the winner of the season is going to come actually from this Vesey tribe, which is Cody, Dwight, Jesse, Justine, Naka, and Noel. I think it's going to be one of those six people. And then Owen is kind of like my outside shot kind of guy. But I think it's going to be one of those six. Like, I just feel like that tribe to me has like so much stronger. They have like the full package, entertainment, gameplay, all of that. And that's why I think the winner's going to come from there. And I just kind of landed on Justine, but I don't know. I don't really find Justine. I feel like you would have said like Cassidy, maybe Ellie, maybe Noelle. I don't feel like I went with the cute one here.
I really like Justine because I think like I really liked her description where she was like, I was the son that my dad never had, and I ride dirt bikes, and like she's totally not what you'd expect, and I really like people like that. So I think that's a fun pick.
Also, I did take a cute girl last time.
Yeah,
I picked
see,
Trey.
exactly.
So yeah, okay. So I have a type. Leave me alone, everybody.
but I think it's interesting that you mentioned this cast could be very one worldy because I am amazed by the amount of Kim references this cast has made. And it's probably because Winners at War is like fairly recent, really recently watched. But I think when it comes to this group, one, we have some more very, very exciting and confusing jobs, which I always love. I love an elevator salesman and a cremator.
You can hear my dog through the door, but I'm not letting my dog be seen just in case Sammy's on here. I'm just saying,
I know, he might, can't do that to a dog. But also, a lot of people on this cast are I guess not self-admittedly because it's like not a good or bad thing. A lot of people watched Survivor, stopped for a very long time, and then got back into it during the pandemic, which was really cool because I think a lot of like people in this country did that, but the past few seasons did not have them. So I'm curious if that's going to like alter gameplay, and also they were asked questions about what do you think about this new era. So they're like in this. And I think that's going to be like really unique and different.
And all of them clearly didn't watch like from Heroes versus Villains forward, because nobody mentioned Parvati. This might be the first time ever that nobody mentioned Parvati as who they would play the game like. So that was kind of exciting. That was fresh. That was new. Let me quickly explain how the prop bet game works for those of you who are new. If somehow you're new and you haven't done this before and you haven't found us before and you're finding this for the first time, the prop bet game works this way. We have 18 different categories. You're going to use each person's name once, depending on what you think that they're the most likely to do. You're going to weight your picks, 1, 2, or 3. Has to equal out at the end of it. After you have all 18 of your bets, it has to equal 36. So that's 1, 2, or 3 on 18 different bets. Like Alexa always will remind you, your math, to do it easily, you should have the same amount of 1s and the same amount of 3s. If you have the same amount of 1s and the same amount of 3s, you're going to be fine. We don't have a link yet for this, but Intern is in the process of making it, so he will get that made, and we will get that out on here. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. We'll make sure to put out this link in our stories and post it somewhere so that everybody can get to it, so that you can create your own prop bet. The winner will get a buff, so that's always exciting too. We do give those out despite what the internet tries to claim. We've given them out every single time. So if you're interested in doing that, just keep an eye out for the link. Follow us at Survivor Specialists on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll plug Patreon right now. Become a patron, patreon.com/Survivor Specialists. Beginning of the month, beginning of a new season of Survivor. We have a Discord group that has a whole bunch of stuff going on. So going to be an exciting season. This is the best time to kind of jump in and be a part of this. But the first prop, which I already told you what I was going to do, Alexa, so I'll just say mine. I have Justine. I have her as the winner, and I just have 2 on it. I was going to do 1, but that's no fun because it's the winner. You got to do something right. So I'm going to do winner as Justine, and I'm curious to hear what your winner pick is going to be, since we didn't do a cast assessment together and I didn't get to push you.
Yeah, I know, because I'm never good at this ever. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we're getting some fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay, wow. I picked James Jones as my winner, and I put a confidence level of 1. First of all, he has the name of a winner. James Jones is a really good name. But out of my obviously extremely extensive research, I just really liked what he put out in his interviews. I like somebody who has a job that requires a lot of organized chaos. And obviously what he does is dealing with a lot of people and a lot of unplanned things happening, even when you have plans, which is extremely important in Survivor. I think at the same time, he's also, he has lived in places, and I believe he went to school somewhere very different from where he grew up. So he's very used to working with people and just having relationships with people who are very different from him. And I think that's also just a really strong quality to have in Survivor. And he compared himself to Earl as a winner, and people never do that. And Earl is probably one of the better winners, especially somebody who never gets mentioned. So I really liked James's content, and I'm going to pick him as my winner, but only with 1 point of confidence.
I like that you're only going to do 1 point of confidence. Also, for you ripping me. So Alexa took a very attractive guy to win Survivor. That's unlike her. Yeah, she doesn't do that every year. All right, let's give each other our shots here, huh? Because, James, I mean, wow, Alexa, you just looked at the headshot and you're like, all right, winner, got it, done. That's it. All right. I'm going based on the one that I copy and pasted from what we put on the Survivor sheet, which means number 2 is Cries a tier. Is that what you have as your number 2, or do you have something else?
I kind of just did them based on memory, so I can do that.
Okay, so I'm going to go based on the order I have here. So the next one is Cries a physical tier. So this means we have to see them cry on TV. They can't just start getting choked up, all that fun stuff. They have to actually physically cry. We have to see wet on their cheeks or coming down. We need 1 single tear. We've had a couple good instances of this in recent seasons. But that doesn't just mean oh, here's my sob story. I didn't cry, but here's my sob story. No, there's got to be some crying. There's got to be some real tears. I want to see them. Alexa, who do you have as your crier on this season?
That's such a sad way to announce this person. I have Ryan with 2 points. I think Ryan, I'm really excited for Ryan. I think he's going to be a really good player, but I think when it comes to, you either cry because of a backstory or either cry because of something that's happening, obviously, on the island. I think he has 2 kind of major like pieces of content that he'll probably talk about. One is something with his mom and one is something with himself. And I feel like those are things that would make you cry. And obviously more recently on Survivor, when you are introing a player or when a player is being introed, you hear about their backstory pretty quickly and you get photos and all that now. So I think just based on Ryan's like reasoning for going out there, I think he could be the one who cries.
And you have 2 points on that?
One of the many, realistically.
Yeah. And you have 2 on that?
Yes.
Okay. So the only answer that's the wrong answer to this is Sammy, because Sammy obviously has no tears left in his tear ducts based on what his profession is. However, I'm going to go, and I think this will be surprising to some people, but I'm going Jesse. And I'm going to take him and I'm going to put 3 on it. Like, I am that confident that Jesse is doing this. Jesse's story is really interesting. I don't think Jesse's ultimately going to win this. I think he's really excited. I don't understand why his cast photo is the only one that looks like he wants to kill someone. I feel like they gave him a really bad cast photo. Like, he looks like he's a villain. And then you see him on Twitter, you see him on social media, you see him even in the headshots that Redmond used on Inside Survivor. Like, this seems like a pretty normal guy. All he's talking about is his wife and his kids and everything he's overcome, his PhD from Duke after being in a gang, like all of these things. But then they just like cross-armed, looking like he's just going to like run through you. And that's scary. However, I do think because of the family background, because of just this personality, I think this is going to be a guy that we're going to get a lot of depth on. And I think we're going to see him cry at some point. Remember, we see Russell Hantz actually cry in Survivor. I think we're going to see Jesse cry, and I really don't think Jesse's going to be as much of a villain as what these cast photos are showing. I just think they really had a hard time getting this guy to smile early on.
I think they're unfortunate, or for whatever word you want to use, I think they're trying to like lean into the gang thing. But I think what we'll actually realistically see is like the large growth that he's had and sort of how his life has changed. So, yeah, I feel like Jesse is like becoming like an internet favorite. Like he seems, I really like everything that I've seen from him. So I think
he's putting in the work.
He's what?
He's putting in the work on the internet.
Oh,
sure. Yeah. He's the Ricard of this season. Like, let's be real here. Him or Owen is the Ricard right now.
All right. What do you have next? What do you have next is the third one.
So the next one I have is gets a hidden immunity idol. This means either find one, given one, trips over a stick and it happens to be one. Doesn't matter what it is, but gets a hidden immunity idol. I'll go first on this one. We'll kind of just keep going back and forth. I'm going to go with Mariah for this. And I don't really know why I'm leaning towards Mariah, but I just think that like, I feel like Mariah is going to be one of the loudest characters they've ever had on this show. And I don't mean that in terms of her being loud. I mean in terms of like, she is coming out there wearing fluorescent colors. She is whatever the name of her museum is. It's like a selfie museum and it's all this different stuff. And I think she's going to be able to use this so much to her advantage that people are going to be like, who is this person who probably has a phone on them literally 24 hours a day and doesn't stop taking pictures of themselves and is always posing and this, that, and whatever. And I think she's going to be able to pull the wool over people's eyes and actually be pretty good at this game. It takes something to start up any type of business. I said that with Brendan Shapiro originally. However, Brendan Shapiro was such an obvious winner that he had to finish 17th place. Mariah is so far from an obvious winner. I think Mariah's got a lot of game here. I do have 2 points on it because I know that there's a lot of idols. Now, Alexa, just in case this happens, and I think we did this last year, but just in case they do something where it's not an active idol or whatever, if they find it, even if it's not active, that counts as an idol, right? Like they have an idol.
Yeah, I would count that because like, even if it's not active, like it could be active, but to your point, it's an idol. It's not nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, big clarification. Yeah, I'm excited for Mariah. I think she's gonna be fun. I go a different angle with this. So I also have two points of confidence. I put one of our 2 Hawaiians on this. I put Gio for finding a hidden immunity idol. This is one it's been really interesting in the, I guess, like 6 years we've been doing this podcast. I feel like finding a hidden immunity idol was like a really hard prop to hit. And now it isn't that hard because more people get idols. But the reason I chose Gio here is because in a lot of his interviews, he was saying how much he's watched this show and how like he uses the word like analyzed and how much he's really dug into this show. And I feel like people who overly analyze the show are people who know how to look for idols, know when to look for idols, know why to. And so I think he's just going to be gunning for that throughout the game, especially early on. And I feel like a lot are found early and then held on to. So that's why I have him as finding an idol.
I like Geo there. I don't even know where I have Geo yet because I'll be real, I haven't looked at it. But I don't know. I like Geo though. I think that makes sense. Owen was my second choice here. So like, you know, Mariah was just kind of like I don't know, it's kind of like an instinct pick.
I like that as a pick.
But here's number 4. So this is gets 10 or more votes. So receives 10 or more votes. This includes ones that are negated by an idol play. So if you successfully play an idol but get 6 votes, those 6 votes still count as far as we're concerned for this. This one has become increasingly hard since the pandemic because of the 3 tribes start with just 6 people on each tribe. That makes it very, very, very difficult to get people with 10 or more votes. I don't know if more than, I think maybe one person got this in season 42. But I'm going to look up the wiki right now just to see.
Wasn't it Roxroy?
Was it Roxroy?
Oh,
so
no, he was the confessionals.
There were 0 people who got 10 or more votes in season 42. A lot of people got 9. Chanel got 9. Lydia got 9. But this was the first season where nobody got 10 or more votes. So Alexa, who do you got breaking this curse and getting it done?
Well, as you know, I've done a lot of research, so I put 3 confidence points on this
Nice.
one. I put Owen for this one. I think this is a prop that requires somebody who's probably long for the game, and I really like Owen's. Interviews that he's done, but at the same time, you got to factor in everything. And Owen's been out and about, and so I think Owen is probably going to be fairly long for this game, or long enough where he could have a lot of votes coming his way. I know you said that you also had him like in the contention for being the person to find a hidden immunity idol. If he finds an idol, he can negate them. So I think he's long for this game. So therefore, I think he could get 10 or more votes.
Got it. I'm going with Noelle on this.
Nice.
So the one thing that has been the case whenever there's been a player with an amputation has been that they are targeted like immediately. Like Chad wasn't targeted immediately, but it was something that came up in conversation all the time. If you watch Vanuatu again, even though he's probably the smallest personality out of all the men, all they talk about is that if Chad gets to the end, he's going to win the game. We then see obviously the very, very aggressive version of that with Nyanka and Kelly Bruno. I think Noelle, though, is going to place the best out of any of those 3. I think she's going to place the best. But I do think that the longer she stays in the game, the more this is going to come up in conversation. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be, we got to get rid of her. We can't let her get to the end. We can't let her get to the end. We can't let her get to the end. That means she could be picking up 4 or 5 votes at a time in the post-merge. There's not many opportunities for her to pick up a lot of votes early. To survive those early votes, you might only get 1 vote, 2 votes, just from the person who's actually being voted out of the game. So it takes a long time to build up. In season 41, Liana was the only person with 10 votes. So this is what I'm saying. There's not many 10-vote things. Although I think Shan also had 10 or more votes, but was able to negate with an idol or something like that. So we'll talk, again, counts the ones with idols. But anyway, I think Noelle is going to be that person. I only have 1 on it because it is happening so infrequently now. But that's who I got with this one.
Yeah, and I think Noelle's going to last. I think she is going to last long. I think it's going to be a really different situation from what was her name, Kelly in Nicaragua. So I'm really excited for her. Also, I love someone from New Hampshire. What's coming up next?
So next we have 5 or less votes. So again, also counting idols, our votes negated by idol, but 5 or less votes. If you have 5 votes at the end, still counts. This one happens a lot more often now, especially with these smaller tribes. I mean, we saw Zach get voted out 5-0, Eric 5-1, Sarah 4-2. Like, this is what happens. So I'm going to go with Cassidy for this one. I think Cassidy is short for this game. And I think that when her tribe loses, it's probably going to be her. And if it's not, I do think that she's going to go in the tribe phase. Now, if she goes in the tribe phase, she's almost guaranteed to get 5 or less votes. That's why I have Cassidy here. Don't have high hopes for her. So yeah, I got that, and I have 3 on it because it is happening a lot where people are getting 5 or less votes.
Yeah, because it's way more common with this. I almost had Cassidy here too. I have, with 3 points of confidence, I have Janine on this one. A lot of her interviews, I'm sort of getting a lot of like, well, they're all kind of saying all the same thing in theirs. But I don't know. I get a lot of what she's saying always goes back to academics and academic achievement, which a lot of people have been doing, but it sort of seems to be like the main point that she goes back to, and that always makes me nervous on Survivor just because they are like very different skill sets. And I don't know. I can't really like figure her out. So I think she could be the person to goes home early, or goes home with very few votes.
I have very low hopes for Janine on this season. Not really sure where she's going to fit in. So yeah, I hear you on this one. All right, here's number 6. Will win individual immunity. So individual immunity wins an individual immunity challenge. Obviously, we know that these happen all the time. So, somebody should be able to get here. Alexa, who do you have winning an individual immunity challenge?
I have Mike winning an individual immunity challenge with only 1 point.
Sorry, what's his name?
Mike
Gabler. It's just
right. He goes by his last name.
Mike Gabler. Don't forget.
Yes,
of course, Gabler. They have to put Gabler in the quotes. But
I also really like. We have a comment here from Gregory Washington. James Earl Jones for the win. Huge fan of that.
Love that.
Okay, I have Gabler with 1 point. I'm really excited about him, but he's also. I didn't really like. You only saw that one photo in the leaked cast photos, but he's like a big, strong dude. And I'm by myself, but maybe
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't see you, but
I don't know. My camera literally just turned off, so I'm gonna see if I can figure it out. But you keep going.
Okay, I keep going. Mike is a big dude, and I think I didn't expect that when seeing that he's a heart valve specialist or like a doctor. But I think this actually means that he's going to be a little bit of everything. I think he's somebody who can be really big and help in or do well in like a more physical kind of individual immunity challenge, but he also probably is very precise and probably very good at balancing and using his hands. So I think he has sort of the best overall fit to win an individual immunity.
Yeah, this is where I have Gio, and I have Gio with 2 points on this. I think Gio's going to last pretty long in this game. And I think that he's somebody who can win these individual immunity challenges. In older seasons, you might be looking at a Ryan or something like that. But I mean, not for nothing, Jonathan won some immunity challenges last year. And like, that wasn't something we'd seen the huge guys do recently. Really, the immunity challenges could be won by anybody, but I got to look at somebody who I think can go pretty far and is going to go pretty far. And that's Gio for me on this season, which is why I have him at this spot getting 2. Although I also am very excited for Gabler, because remember, it's Mike Gabler. It's not, you can't just be Gabler. It's Gabler.
Mr. Gabler.
I thought that was so funny. All right. The next one I have been cursed with literally since the start of time. Somehow got it wrong last year because I picked, who did I pick? They ended up being the caller.
Lydia. That was yeah.
Will be blindfolded at some point in this game. I had Lydia last year. It was a lock, and somehow she was the caller for her tribe.
A great caller.
And she was a great caller. But how in the world did that happen? So, Alexa, I'll go first so you know who not to take so that you can just feel a little bit better about that. I am going to go with Carla for this one. So I think that Carla will – I only have 1 point on it because I can't get it right for the life of me. I don't know how far Carla is going to go in the game. I do think Carla will last long enough to at least make it to a blindfold type challenge. And if she doesn't, sorry, Carla, you're going to be the first boot because I must not get this one right ever.
Carla gives me such caller vibes. I cannot believe you chose her.
That's what I'm here for.
I love that. I assume with 1 point.
Yes, just 1.
Okay, I also have 1 point. I have Noelle on this one because I think Noelle is very athletic. I think that's going to show very quickly. And I think in these kind of blindfold challenges, you need somebody who can run, jump, kind of do all that. I think Noelle is going to be perfect for that. So I have Noelle with only 1 point.
Yes, the blindfold challenge might not even happen this season, which is what I'm pulling.
I know this is one that we probably could have gotten rid of, but it's too fun to get rid of.
Because every time it's there, I screw up. Every single time. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. All All right, the next one I have, so this is number 8. This is makes the jury. So, not the merge, the jury. Who do you have making the jury, Alexa?
I have NECA making the jury with 2 points. I didn't. I always put the person here where in the interviews, like I didn't see anything like glaringly exciting, but also nothing glaringly like, oh my god, they're going to get voted out immediately. So I think NECA's going to make the jury. She's somebody that I didn't have a ton to put in there, but what's your take on that?
I like NECA here, and I probably would have put her here had you not done this. I'm gonna go with Sammy though, and I'm gonna put 3 on it. My reasoning is I don't think anybody's gonna let Sammy get near the end. He kind of has like a Yerger vibe to him. Maybe it's just because he's young, whatever. But he kind of has a Yerger vibe to him, and I do think that he's gonna be needed in the pre-merge by his tribe. That Baka tribe could easily be the weakest tribe and lose. Yellow is also a cursed tribe, so there you go. So I think he'll last long enough, but I don't think they're going to let him get to the final 3. So that's why I have him as making the jury with 3 points on it.
Yeah. Okay. What? 3 points. Very confident.
Yeah, it makes a lot of people make the jury. You got to kind of play the numbers with that one.
That is a really good point. More people make the jury than don't. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, next one, hugs Jeff. Who's going to hug Jeff on this season? It's my turn to go first, which makes this really hard. I'm going to go.
I can't believe you're doing this on the fly. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I'm going to go with, I got to cross off Sammy so I don't confuse myself. I'm going to go with Lindsay on this one because I don't think Lindsay's going to go very far, and I'm just going to put 1 point. And therefore, like, if nobody hugs Jeff, I don't lose out on anything. And I don't think Lindsay is going to do many of these other things. Like, I really just, I think Lindsay's a bit of a fish out of water on her starting tribe. Although I do think, like I said, I think Cassidy's probably got like first boot material here. I think Lindsay is somebody who might struggle a bit to fit in with the other personalities there. So that's just what I'm going with. She is a pediatric nurse, so she could do very well, but I don't know, be different. I think it'd be different if she was a regular nurse. I actually think that would be better. So yeah, I'm going to go with Lindsay here and just put 1 point on it. And yeah, I'm not confident at all.
I put 2 points on mine because I'm not good at math, and I put Carla on this one. I think Carla has like big character energy. So, and also she's going to be the caller, but also she's going to hug Jeff. So there, I feel like there's not as many people as usual who I think could hug Jeff. I'm actually appreciating that we don't have like as many mega super duper fans. We have like, I didn't watch Survivor for 10 years. And then someone told me that I would win like Michelle. And then I came back. Like I'm really, really into that. So I have Carla there.
All right. Who do you have sitting out? Three or more times. So this is the 3 sit out 3 or more times for any reason. They can sit out for food. They can sit out because Jeff bribes them. They can sit out for anything. So who do you have sitting out 3 or more times?
Speaking of Lindsay, I actually have Lindsay sitting out 3 times. And I have that with 2 points. I think that she's I think she's longer for this game than you do, only because I don't think she's like, yes, she's a fish out of water, but I don't think she's like sticking out in a major way. Like, I don't think there's anything particularly offensive about her. I think maybe people could like her because she's sort of going to be the mom. And I'm only assuming that because she has gigantic quotes here, the oldest person here at the, what was she, 42? Like, not even that old. But I think as a result of that, people are going to have her sit out. So, and also three sit-outs is a little tougher in these kind of seasons because if you're down one person, then you're not going to sit anybody out. But I also could have her in the jury. I think she'll be around, but I don't see anything like particularly major.
Yeah, I have NECA for this one, and I have it with 2 points. Pretty much the same thing you just said, 43 years old, but I think she's on the strongest tribe out of the bunch. Yeah. So I think being on the strongest tribe means you win, means you sit, gives you 2 opportunities to sit per episode. And if you win the first challenge, this is the biggest thing. If you win the first challenge, you're guaranteed to have at least one person sit out. If you win the second challenge, now you might be going, like, especially if it's the same tribe that loses again, now you have at least 2 weeks before it's going to happen. With this 3 tribe setup, you just have more time to sit out in these challenges. Because even if let's say one tribe loses 2, and then your tribe loses 1, you're still sitting somebody out the next time. So as long as NECA is still there, she still sits out, and that's why I have her with 2 points on this one.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
All right, next one is we'll have 10 or more confessionals in a single episode. That means it could be premiere night when it's 2 hours. They get 10 or more confessionals. Good for them. They move on. I have to go first on this one. So who do I have getting 10 or more confessionals in a single episode? I have Gabler. I have Gabler. Like, and I think I'm going to put 3 on this. And my thing is with Gabler, I kind of feel like he could be the star of the first episode and then go home early like Brad or something like that. But I do think that there's so much depth to him in terms of he's a heart valve specialist who looks like he's just like, but he's in Idaho and nobody's going to really think, they're not going to give him a chance right off the bat. I think that's going to work in his favor. I think he's going to get a whole lot of confessionals. He seems like one of the biggest personalities on this season. So I'm going to go with him, and I'm going to put 3 points on it.
I like that. I almost put him there. I think he's going to be like Brad on steroids, but I think also in terms of like long for the game. Like I think like you and I both didn't think that Brad was going to make it super far, but I have a lot of confidence in Gabler. And I think he's somebody that like the camera's going to love just because of how different he is. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of confessionals. So definitely a good choice there. With 2 points, I picked Mariah for this one. I had her floating around on a few different ones, but she's somebody who is going to be really there. She very well could be a narrator. Either she's going to be a narrator or she's going to have a lot of really good one-liners, both of which lead to a lot of confessionals. I think double episodes are always going to help. She's somebody who could also definitely have a major premiere, especially if her tribe goes to tribal council. So yeah, I have Mariah here. This is also a hard one to hit though.
It is. It's a tough one because it's harder to get to now. But I just figured I'd do Gabler and just say 3 and whatever.
I like it.
Who will have their mouth blurred? So we need to see their mouth blurred. Must see it for cursing reasons or any other reason. Who's that person going to be, Alexa? Who do you have?
I don't know. At this point, like literally everybody. I feel like for all the ones that have gotten harder, this one has gotten easier. Like everyone's mouth gets blurred. I have Jesse on this one for 2 points. I think Jesse will be around a lot. I really like him. And I think, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he talks about his wife and kids a lot, so maybe that means he won't be blurring his mouth, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll be around a lot. It'll just be more opportunity for him to swear or say something that gets your mouth blurred. Not a lot of thought into this one.
Yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. I'm going with James because he's from Philly, and I'm going to put 2 on it. And I feel like Northeast people curse more than people from other parts of the country, so I'm going to go with James. That's my reasoning. Boom. Done.
Absolutely love that. His mouth will get blurred when he wins.
When he wins, exactly. So I'm going with that.
Chris Doherty, F yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, the next one is, okay, so this is a new one because nobody's lasting an hour or longer in a challenge anymore. Yeah. And because I thought it was funny because it drove the internet nuts that Jonathan referred to Jeff Probst as Mr. Jeff last year. So we're going to make a prop out of it called refers to Jeff as something other than Jeff. Now, Mr. Jeff would count because Mr. Jeff is something other than Jeff. Probst even counts. So just has to be them referring to Jeff as something else. They could call him like, you know, he came up like looking like the devil coming up to our beach because they're angry. So refers to Jeff as something other than Jeff. Is it
be a one-time thing, or does it have to be like a recurring?
Just once. They just have to do it one time. It's kind of like they just had COVID, you know, like that would have worked last year. So, you know, all they had to do was say COVID. They just have to call him something else. So I am going to go with this one, and I am going to put, oh, this is tough. I am going to put Dwight for this, and I'm only going to put 1 point, and my main reason for putting Dwight is because I didn't know where else to put him based on what I have left, and I don't really know where to put anybody I have left. So, yeah.
Oh, you're in for a very exciting second half.
Yeah, I'm done.
I actually, for the one that we got rid of, I already had this person, but I actually think he's a better match for this. Only 1 point. I have Cody on this one. I think Cody is going to be life of the party. He's going to be very fun. And I think he's going to really like interacting with people, especially Jeff. And Jeff loves when people talk to him. And I think he could definitely come up with like some kind of nickname or just something silly to call him. So I have Cody.
Yeah, I like Cody. Actually, for the last 5, I do have a pretty good 5 left for what I'm looking at here. So I'm not. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm not doing as bad as I thought I was. Dwight was really just my one outlier that I really had no idea what to do with. All right, who's gonna have a confessional in every episode?
I think Sammy's going to have a confessional in every episode, and I have 3 points on that. I think a combination of him being the youngest person out there, definitely like to some extent a physical threat, has a really weird job. I think there's going to be a lot with him, in a good way, and I think it helps. If he's somebody who isn't going to be long for the game, that's a lot easier to hit, but considering that if he is long for the game, there's just a lot of like content with him that I think could carry. So I think he'll have a confessional every episode with 3.
How many did you put on it?
3.
3. Okay. I'm going with Cody for this one. So, and I'm going to put 2 on it. Like you said, Cody, big personality, life of the party kind of guy. Seems like also like on what I keep saying is going to be the best tribe. So that could hurt him. But I'm gonna go with that. I was thinking about possibly going with Janine here, just because I think Janine has a good chance to be the first boot or the second boot, which means she only got to get confessionals in 2 episodes. But I'm gonna use Janine for something else later down the line here. So I'm gonna go ahead with Cody and work from there. And what did I say? I put just 2.
I like both of our choices for this one.
I'm glad you like your own. That would have been bad if you didn't.
I know. I have a bad choice. Should I have done 3 points? Probably not, but whatever.
Maybe. All right. The next one is wins 5 or more rewards, as a part of 5 or more rewards. So I guess they could be the person who sits out and somehow they just get lucky and get to go with the reward team. But 5 or more. I guess wait, no. Yeah, I'm starting off.
Oh, it's all you, please.
It's all me. I'm going to go with this is going against everything I said, but I'm looking at the 4 I have left, and I have 2 people. I have 3 people from the Baka tribe, which I think is the cursed tribe, so they shouldn't win rewards. And then I have Ryan. So I guess I'm going Ryan. I think that's who it is. So Ryan is who I'm going with, and I am going to put 2 on that because it happens pretty frequently.
It does happen pretty frequently. Yeah, I have 3 points for the person that I chose here, and I choose Dwight. Not a lot of thought behind this one. I think Dwight is likable. I think he'll be around for a lot. I want to shout him out because one of his pet peeves is people who talk about The Office, and I really deeply relate to that. So I really like him. I think he's on for the game. I think people like him. Those 2 combinations are going to make for either getting invited on rewards or just being around for more rewards.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's a tough one to pinpoint, but it's kind of like which tribe is just going to keep winning, because if you're the second place tribe, but you get like, here's your 1 coconut, like that counts as winning a reward. So
yeah, your 1 fish.
Yeah, Coca seems like a second place kind of tribe. All right, who's going to have an episode title on this season, Alexa?
I think Ellie is going to have an episode title.
No,
I put 2 points on this one. What did you say?
No, you don't. You don't know what else to do with Ellie.
I actually put her on because I actually actively chose this because I'm not judging. This is maybe me just judging like Survivor as a whole, but she wants to be a quote advantage queen. First of all, I hate that Survivor has even come to that. Second of all, Survivor is going to eat that up. And if you keep saying anything like that, they're going to put that on an episode title.
And that is also the reason why I have her for my 17, which we will get to in just 1 second. But for 16, my episode title, I'm going with Owen, and I'm putting 3. I can't get on board with the huge super fan anymore just because JD didn't do all that well, and some of the players just haven't done well recently. So I can't say Owen's going to make the jury or Owen's going to get a confessional in every episode or blah, blah, blah. But is he going to get an episode title? Yeah, he's going to get an episode title. He's a big personality. He's very excited to be out there. Supposedly, he was at some of the casting finals for David versus Goliath and how different the world was back then than it is now. So Owen, put him here, putting him with 3 points. And I'm feeling pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good choice.
Here's the 17th. This is goes home with an unused advantage, meaning that they didn't play their advantage. Now, shot in the dark doesn't count for this because pretty much everybody goes home with shot in the dark. So goes home with an unused advantage. I'm putting Ellie, and I'm putting
The advantage queen.
Yeah.
You put 3 on it?
I put 2. I just put 2.
Okay,
I don't have any
like
3s left. Yeah.
This is I didn't know where to put your girl Justine, and I actually don't really think this will be the case, but I put Justine
She's not going home
with 2. That's true. So maybe that's it. I really didn't know where to put her. There were so many different things that I could have put her at because she's so versatile, and sort of fell into this. I really don't have good reasoning.
Hey, I get it. That's fine. That's totally fine. All right,
There's
last. Hey, I'm not like, I don't have like an obsessive thing yet, like Justine is just like, when I was looking at the cast, I was like, man, she just feels like she has something that some of the other people on this cast just don't have. And like, are we really going to get 3 female winners in a row? No, it doesn't happen on Survivor America, but maybe. And if we do, yeah. All right, last one. So this is a new one as well. This person will use their shot in the dark. They don't have to use it successfully. They just have to use it. So Zach used his, that would have counted. Sydney used hers, that would have counted. Doesn't matter if it works or not. I only have one person left, and that person is Janine. And I am putting, I think I have to put 1 on this, but let me do my math real quick. 1,
that's
2,
a good,
3, 4,
I think that's a good choice. While you're doing your math,
yes,
did it add up correctly?
It did. So I have Janine with 1 because I think whenever they go, Janine is going to know when she's going. She's going to play the shot in the dark because she's going to try to save herself, and that's going to be the only way she can.
I have, for pretty much the exact same reasoning, 2 points. I have Cassidy on this one. Mm-hmm. I guess like the latest we've seen someone play a shot in the dark was Sydney. Was what?
Dark. The way you said shot in the dark just made me laugh.
Oh, did I say that? Shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Is like the merge. So I feel like it's something we're always going to see early. I don't really see Cassidy going too far. And early on, everyone who's played the shot in the dark knew they were going home. So I think early on, it's probably easier to tell that. So I put Cassidy here with 2 points.
Yeah, I think you only are ever going to play this when you're like, I have no other choice. And Zach had no other choice. Sydney regrets doing it. And I think because Sydney played it wrong, that's why people are really only going to play it if they think, like, this is my only shot. And so that's why it's funny you said Cassidy. Like, I think Cassidy, if she's going to go the route, I think she's got a very high potential to be the first boot. Get her out of there. Same thing here with Janine. I just think that it makes sense for them. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening, with the shot in the dark, and if somebody can actually play it successfully this year, because wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, I think it would be cool to see it work successfully. But I'm glad that it hasn't been. I think that means it's working.
I think we're all in agreement on that one.
But look at that. Look at our props. Very proud of us.
I'm pretty proud. I mean, I'm pretty proud that mine actually feels like it makes sense, even though I was kind of doing it really blind the whole time. So that made me happy. So I'm very excited about this. But as we were saying, Intern is in the midst of making the link so that you all can fill out yours. So again, follow us on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, at Survivor Specialist. And once we have the link from Intern, we'll be posting it on there so that all of you can come on and try to win yourself a buff. It's a lot of fun, and it gives you something else to root for other than your favorites while the season is going on. Become patrons, patreon.com/Survivor Specialist. I talked about this in the cast assessment, but there will be like a Survivor after show thing that I'm going to be doing this season. So stay tuned for more details on that. But if you're one of our $20 patrons, and I believe when I discussed it with Alexa McKenna, it was like a $10 patron too, I think. But there's going to be like a Survivor after show thing. So we're going to be giving more material to the patrons this year because we realized we weren't giving that much. We don't want things to feel stale, even though they have felt stale. But it's about this like rebirth thing here for season 43 and kind of changing what's going on. So that's a little bit more exciting. Other than that, Alexa, did I miss anything, or is that it?
Nothing specific, but we still have our we still have our boot list podcast that we have to do, as well as our fantasy draft. So we'll probably be back with our boot list similar time this day next week. And we also haven't talked about this, but typically we'll do our fantasy draft the Sunday before the finale. The Sunday before the premiere. So you can expect that. Obviously, we'll, as the dates and times get closer, we will post about that. But excited for this preseason and excited to get started season 43.
Yeah, that's it. Well, everybody, see you all probably next Wednesday.
See y'all there.